The story starts with a cafe owner watching his employee, Kumano Mizu, who is very attentive to the clients as she serves a customer his blended coffee. The customer admires her good looks and asks about her age. She is totally unaware of her beauty, and with a bright smile, happily tells him that she is 16 years old. This surprises the customer since she looks younger than his daughter. He and his companion then cheerfully invite her to have tea with them after work, and looking at the short boy working nearby, suggest she leave her job to him. Hearing this makes the short manager's eyes glint. When she asks the manager for permission, Higurashi controls his emotions but, clearly annoyed, tells the customer to stop disturbing his employee. Then, with a sly smile, he reveals that, despite being short, he is 26 years old, shocking the customer because of his unexpected age. After the day ends, Higurashi, while admiring her work, advises her to button up her clothes. Because her shirt is very tight, she struggles to close the buttons and innocently asks if that makes him angry. He nervously replies that he is not. When she still cannot close the buttons, he suggests ordering a larger shirt for her. But she innocently bows and asks if she can borrow his shirt until the new one arrives. This makes him tremble, and he quickly refuses in broken words, mentioning his own short height. Although he explains his point, she keeps the muffler around her neck and emotionally says she wishes to wear Higurashi-san's shirt. He blushes deeply at her bold words, yet he knows she is still unaware of their deeper meaning. The next morning, he is at work, thinking about himself. Higurashi Yuna, a 26-year-old manager of the cafe with only one employee, Kumano Mizu, who is 16. Although she looks like a mature lady, she is actually a high school student. At that moment, the door opens, and he is shocked to see her in her school uniform, impressed by her bright, youthful appearance. When he realizes it is her day off, he suggests she should spend time with her friends, but her disappointed reaction makes him worried. She then bows politely and says she wishes he were her classmate at the same school. She happily imagines that if he were her junior, she would hug him, pat his head, and be very affectionate with him. Confused and flustered, he asks why she is imagining him as a junior, and even wanting to pamper him. She excitedly explains that it is because he would be the cutest one. Still confused, he asks if she would not want to be hugged or patted by someone else. With a blushing, flustered face, she asks if he means himself. He panics and quickly corrects himself, saying not him, but a boy her own age, and then apologizes for not asking properly. The next day, when Kuma-chan walks into the cafe, she is surprised to see Higurashi wearing glasses and striking stylish poses with a wink. But the moment he notices her, he quickly tosses the glasses aside and asks if she will also make fun of his short height. Without noticing her puzzled reaction, he explains how his sister teased him that morning, saying he tried to look more grown up with the glasses but still looked like a runt. Kuma-chan, clearly bothered by those harsh words, politely bows, picks up the glasses, and gently asks why he is not wearing them. He immediately looks away, pretending it makes no difference whether he wears them or not. He becomes confused when she steps closer, holds his face in both hands, and asks him to close his eyes. His heart begins to pound, his cheeks turn bright red, and sweat forms on his face as he overthinks, wondering if she is about to kiss him or do something even bolder. But his expectations fade when she simply puts the glasses back on him and admires how mature he looks, saying they suit him well. This leaves him deeply flustered, his cheeks still red, as he realizes she meant nothing more by her words. After a while, he stands on a small support, trying to reach something from a high shelf, but his short height makes it impossible. Suddenly, Kuma-san arrives and asks if he wants help. Her sudden appearance startles him, and he hurriedly makes an excuse, saying he is just stretching, but she keeps asking if he needs something from the shelf. Though he wants to keep a manly image, he finally admits he does. She suggests that he hold the step support while she climbs up. As she stands on it, he becomes extremely embarrassed and nervous. Still, he knows that because of her innocence, she is unaware of how it looks. Controlling his emotions, he tries hard not to look at her until she finally manages to grab the jar. He thanks her, still embarrassed and bothered by his short height. She gives him the jar with a polite smile, tucking her hair back, and casually says she finds his height charming as she has no issue with it. While taking the jar, he feels impressed by her thinking at such a young age, but when he checks the bean container, he notices it is almost empty and decides to go shopping the next day. He grows nervous when she gently holds his hands and innocently asks for permission to go shopping with him tomorrow, since she has the day off. Just the thought of going out together makes him uneasy. The next day, the two of them are standing in Kumao's honey and coffee bean shop. Feeling excited, he starts explaining how the taste of coffee beans depends on the climate of the country. He says beans from North and South America are less bitter and more fruity, which makes them easier for beginners to drink. But then he realizes he may be talking too much. Embarrassed, he quickly covers his mouth and apologizes, saying he must be boring her with coffee stories like an old uncle. She smiles politely and assures him that she is enjoying it. In fact, she says she wants to learn more because she likes listening to him. Then, with a cute smile, she adds that he is not an uncle. He still feels nervous though, since at 26, he thinks he is definitely uncle age for a high school girl. As they shop for chocolate-flavored beans for the coming Valentine season, he casually asks if she plans to give chocolate to anyone. She happily says she will give some to Akane, Ryo, Higurashi-san, and the rest to her cousins. He listens absent-mindedly, thinking that as her employer, he probably would not receive any chocolate. But then he remembers she mentioned his name at the end, and the realization shocks him. He suddenly blurts out, asking if he is getting chocolate too. She looks at him with a playful smile and teases him about his late reaction, asking if it was really that unexpected. Embarrassed, he quickly tries to calm his racing heart and says he is just the cafe's owner. She smiles warmly and replies that since he takes care of her, he deserves it. He quietly thanks her, touched by her kindness. A few days later at the cafe, Kuma-chan's two friends arrive without informing her. They loudly and happily announce their arrival, but she quickly comes over and asks why they showed up so suddenly. They casually ask if she does not like it, and without noticing her expression, they begin admiring the stylish cafe. They are surprised to see him and call him a cute little boy, then start asking many questions, like whether he also likes coffee since he works in a cafe. Both girls are shocked when Kuma-chan steps closer and warns them not to bother him, explaining that he is the manager and not a child at all. Realizing their mistake, they apologize, saying he looks about their age. He calmly brushes it off, saying he is used to it. As the girls happily talk about him as the person Kuma-chan had mentioned before, he becomes curious about what she told them. At that moment, she asks him to wait a moment, then returns with a chocolate and gives it to him. Holding the chocolate bar, he feels excited and overjoyed, deciding to keep it safe, but she suggests he should eat it. The girls look confused, noticing that only his chocolate has fancy wrapping. He also becomes puzzled, wondering if she gave it to him by mistake instead of giving it to a close friend or someone else. But she bows politely and says it is only for him because he works very hard at the cafe. The two girls grow annoyed, realizing he still does not understand her true meaning. At school, during lunch, Kuma-chan is enjoying a drink with her friends. Nearby, two boys watch her and comment that she seems kind, but also a bit plain. One boy tells the other to speak properly, since his poor vocabulary makes him hard to understand. They then start looking at her, but suddenly both are shocked when Ryo stands up angrily and yells at them for staring. Ryo then turns to Kuma-chan, notices her loose sweater, and looking confused, asks her about it. Kuma-chan calmly explains that her own sweater was too tight, so she borrowed a larger one from her cousin. Both girls look confused, wondering if her cousin is very muscular, but when she mentions that her cousin is a boy, they are shocked. She sniffs the sweater and says it feels comfortable, though she is a bit bothered by her cousin's smell. Her friends sniff it too and excitedly ask her to introduce them to him, but she says she has no idea whether he is handsome or not. When they ask if she really dislikes the smell, since she was sniffing it earlier, she gently replies that it is fine, but she likes Higurashi-san's smell much more. This shocks both girls, especially when she adds that he always carries a pleasant coffee aroma. Finally understanding the situation, they quietly sip their drinks. Meanwhile, back at the cafe, Higurashi sneezes while wiping the counter. As she enters the cafe in the morning, she admires how hard he is working. He greets her in a relaxed way, glad she arrived on time, and tells her he has made a return gift for Valentine's Day since the cafe is not very busy. She is shocked when she realizes he made it himself. Handing her the pastry plate, he offers it with a bright yet nervous smile, explaining that he prepared it in a short time and is not sure about the taste. Trembling, she asks in broken words if he really made it himself. Her unexpected reaction confuses him, and he starts to wonder if he did something wrong. When she asks for permission to eat it, he quickly nods, though he keeps overthinking, afraid she might dislike it. As she takes the first bite and makes a hard-to-read expression, he becomes anxious, fearing she does not like the taste. When she softly whispers that it is fine, he still nervously asks if she simply does not like that type of food, but she shyly admits that it tastes much better than the food she makes herself. Hearing this, he finally relaxes. Then, remembering how scared and tense he looked, he covers his face in embarrassment, as if he has just taken a huge emotional blow. A few days later, Higurashi arrives at the cafe in his car and is surprised to see Kuma-chan already sitting at the gate. When he asks, she explains that she woke up early with nothing to do, so she decided to come over. He offers her a cup of coffee, asking about her summer break, and she shyly accepts. Holding the warm mug at the counter, she inhales the rich aroma with gratitude, while he quietly admires how happily she sips the coffee. She smiles and says she enjoys the coffee he pours for her more than any other, which excites him greatly. Feeling proud, he beams at her compliment, happier than anything else. While wiping the table, he casually asks about her plans for summer work. She explains she'll be working 7 days a week. Shocked by the hectic schedule, he exclaims, thinking she should be enjoying her break with friends. She politely explains that most of her friends are busy with club activities, and she genuinely enjoys spending her time working at the cafe. He understands her point, but still advises her to take some rest. When he asks if she will come again tomorrow, she nods and teasingly asks if he will pour coffee for her again, assuring him he can take the money from her next salary. He happily agrees. As she holds the warm cup and expresses her wish to enjoy Higarashi's coffee every day, his heart races. He can't help thinking that she might really be addicted to the coffee he made by hand. A few days later, Kuma-chan, browsing the shelf for a book, reaches for one when she suddenly feels a hand brush hers. Looking up, she is surprised to see Higurashi-san also reaching for the same coffee book. Now both of them sit together in the cafe, astonished to find each other there on their day off. Curiously, he asks about the book, and she happily shows it to him, explaining that she wants to learn more about coffee. Impressed by her enthusiasm, he shares that he visits this cafe to discover new recipe ideas, since their own cafe serves only basic coffee, which isn't very popular. Kuma-chan talks about her love for coffee, which makes him happy, though he knows that improving their coffee would attract more customers and boost profits. As he sips the cafe's coffee, he wonders whether people really enjoy it. Noticing her watching him, he awkwardly asks if it's boring for her to spend the day with him. He is surprised when she politely replies that she enjoys his cute actions. Hearing this, he blushes and looks down shyly. Even when she happily explains that being with him feels like a timid kitten discovering a new toy for the first time, he gently stops her, telling her not to speak like that. The following day at the cafe, Kuma-chan is shocked to find a picture of Higurashi dressed as a woman. Her reaction is like a thunderclap, and she even jolts when he suddenly appears behind her. He notices her hard work and suggests she leave the cleaning to him. Seeing her shy and confused expression, he becomes curious and asks why she looks so flustered. When she hesitantly asks if he has an interest in cross-dressing, he is stunned, shouting in disbelief and immediately denying it. She then shows him the picture, which leaves him embarrassed and nervous, sweating as he explains that he wore the outfit for their school festival and had accidentally mixed the photo with his old notebooks. Kuma-chan looks sad and asks he won't wear the skirt again, even offering him her own. He panics, shouting in embarrassment that he cannot wear anyone else's skirt, and internally struggles. After all, as a grown man, he feels he shouldn't be wearing her skirt. Despite this, she innocently insists that he try it, saying she has no problem with it. Reluctantly, he ends up wearing her uniform, one size too big, feeling extremely embarrassed and sweating as he adjusts it. She circles him, repeatedly admiring his cuteness from all angles, which makes him even more self-conscious. When she notices him holding the skirt because it's too large, he trembles with a mix of confusion and excitement. She awkwardly smiles at how it fits his slim waist, though he quietly regrets lending her the skirt. At the opening ceremony, the three friends, Kuma-chan, Ryo, and Akane, look extremely excited, showing their happiness at being together again, even though they have no idea whether all three are in the same class. They decide to do their best in club activities while also helping the new first-year students. During the conversation, one of them asks Kuma-chan whether she is busy working at the cafe and if there are any other student waitresses. She explains that the cafe only has one waitress, Sasaki-san, who is lively even at 45 years old. Then she suggests that, if they ever hire new employees, they should hire only students. Kuma-chan agrees with this idea. As Kuma-chan walks toward the cafe, she thinks happily about having a new student as an employee. Suddenly, she bumps into a cute little girl. The girl immediately bows and apologizes, and Kuma-chan calmly brushes it off, realizing that she wasn't paying attention. Kuma-chan then asks if the girl is here for any particular reason. The girl, excitedly smiling, asks either Kuma-chan also works at the cafe and eagerly asks whether they are hiring part-timers. Kuma-chan bows politely, showing her happiness at the thought of having such a cheerful little girl as a potential co-worker. The girl, still confused about whether the cafe is actually hiring, suggests going together to confirm. She becomes even more shocked when she misunderstands and thinks Kuma-chan is just the delivery girl. Finally entering the cafe, Kuma-chan excitedly calls out to Higurashi-san, while the little girl beams as she talks about visiting the cafe to apply for a job. Her enthusiasm catches the attention of Sasaki-san, who becomes excited as well. The girl introduces herself as Airi Kumimura, saying she wants to work at the cafe after entering high school. When Higurashi gently explains that the cafe isn't hiring anyone, Airi-san is stunned, as if struck by a thunderstorm. Seeing her disappointed expression, he calmly explains that the cafe isn't very popular yet and cannot afford to hire a new worker. Noticing Kuma-chan's emotional and slightly sad reaction, she had been excited about the possibility of a new, cute worker. He too feels moved. He shares that if the cafe becomes more profitable in the future, he would hire additional staff, but for now, he apologizes. Seeing Airi's sad, tearful face, she almost sits down on the floor in sympathy. Feeling emotional himself, he gently taps her head and warmly tells her that she is always welcome to come back whenever she wants to enjoy a cup of coffee, even if she cannot get a job here. Blushing and still emotional, Airi looks up at him. He sheepishly apologizes for making her sad while also jokingly commenting on how she had cutely resembled his dog earlier. Hearing this, Kuma-chan playfully asks whether he thinks of her as a pet, teasing him about wanting to be treated like a cute little animal as well. A few days later, Higurashi is surprised when Kuma-chan's friends visit him at the cafe, excitedly celebrating his birthday. He is almost shocked himself, having nearly forgotten his own birthday, and asks if Kuma-chan informed them about it. The girls are stunned that he could actually forget his birthday. Annoyed, he explains that after turning 20, he stopped keeping track of his age. Hearing this, the girls shiver, not wanting to grow up so quickly, and then ask about Kuma-chan's whereabouts since she isn't here. Everyone is surprised when Kuma-chan appears, holding a large, beautifully decorated cake for him. He is even more shocked to realize she made it herself. Deeply touched, he nervously acknowledges that she did it for him, remembering that he had done something similar for her before. Admiring her effort, he decides to try a slice of the cake. The first bite surprises him with its sweetness, and he smiles widely, truly happy. After that, Kuma-chan gives him his birthday present. He happily accepts it, asking permission before opening it. Inside, he finds a keychain and is delighted. Kuma-chan adds that she made it herself, which surprises everyone even more. She explains that she loves making things like this and even made an extra one. Shocked, one of the girls asks if she made a matching keychain. Calmly, Kuma-chan confirms it, showing that she didn't even realize she had made them match. Higurashi, still a little shocked that she had no idea they matched, smiles and says she doesn't mind at all. Then, emotionally, Kuma-chan asks if he has any problem with it, and he immediately denies it with a shy smile. Both girls listen in shock, finding their conversation sweeter than even the cake itself. At school, Kuma-chan notices Airi-chan looking worriedly for something. She calmly approaches and asks if she can help. Airi-chan shyly explains that she wants to go to the staff room but doesn't know the way. Humbly, Kuma-chan offers to guide her. Walking down the corridor, Airi-chan feels genuinely impressed by Kuma-chan's mature and kind nature. Suddenly, Kuma-chan calls her over, and seeing Airi-chan's cute, surprised expression, asks for permission to hug her. Startled by the sudden request, Airi-chan is shocked, but Kuma-chan quickly explains that she just wants to hug someone so small and adorable, like a little human. Airi-chan immediately realizes that the cafe manager, Higurashi-san, is even smaller than Kuma-chan, and the thought of Kuma-chan's wanting to hug him too makes her feel flustered. She worries that maybe she isn't a good girl, thinking she might accidentally steal someone's heart by acting this way. Deciding to follow Kuma-chan to the cafe to observe her properly, Airi-chan also decides to watch her carefully as Kuma-chan would interact with Higurashi-san. When they arrive at the staff room, Airi-chan thanks Kuma-chan. Calmly, Kuma-chan brushes it off, offering her help anytime she needs it. Airi-chan, though still nervous and conflicted about her own feelings, can't help but be impressed by Kuma-chan's kindness, and feels a little captivated by her presence. At the cafe, an elderly regular customer calmly asks Higurashi how his life is going. Confused by her casual tone, he doesn't know how to respond. She then boldly asks about his love life, which startles him so much that he nearly spills his coffee, having nothing significant to share. The elderly lady then offers to introduce him to her daughter, encouraging him not to be shy and to share his feelings. Just then, the door opens and Kuma-chan enters, slightly interrupting the conversation. The lady begins to talk about discussing the Higurashi-chan girl in his life, but seeing his confused and hesitant expression, she senses that he does not want to discuss it. When she asks about his past dating experiences, he blushes and awkwardly admits that he had dated 2 girls, though both relationships ended painfully because both had regretted it due to his short height. The elderly lady nods in understanding and asks for his true height. Both ladies are shocked when he reveals, with a gloomy sigh, that he is 160 centimeters tall. Even more embarrassed, he quietly admits he had previously lied, claiming he was 159 centimeters. The lady then turns to Kuma-chan and asks about her height. Kuma-chan happily keeps it a secret, and the elderly lady smiles, amused by her mysteriousness. With a gentle and polite smile, Kuma-chan reminds Higurashi that his ex-girlfriends had the wrong impression of him, as he is actually a kind-hearted and lovely man. Hearing this, Higurashi feels much more relaxed and grateful for her words. Observing the conversation, the wise lady quietly realizes that Higurashi's life is about to change in a sweet and loving way. A few days later, Airi-chan goes shopping with Kuma-chan. When she kindly invited her to come along, she couldn't refuse. Holding up a shirt, Kuma-chan asks Airi-chan for her opinion, and she admires it. She then adds that all the outfits look great on her. Kuma-chan nods, a little confused, as she admits that she tries hard to look slim, but, due to his own chubby figure, it doesn't quite work out. Airi-chan is surprised to realize that the clothes actually make her look slimmer, meaning that without them, she would appear even more impressive. Feeling a little envious of Kuma-chan's figure, Airi-chan wishes she could take some of her fat, while she talks about her jealousy of Airi's delicate arms and legs and asks whether she likes shorts and mini-skirts. Airi gloomily adds that due to her short legs, she always wears high-waisted shorts. Then Airi-chan sadly shares her wish to try something that would make her look truly stunning. Kuma-chan becomes excited and selects an outfit for her, including slight heels and even some stylish accessories, suggesting she try them on. Airi-chan is thrilled, remembering how her father used to help her pick out clothes in her childhood. As she tries on the outfit, she looks stunning and gorgeous. Kuma-chan feels happy, enjoying the opportunity to select an outfit for someone, while Airi-chan is impressed by her own appearance, having never tried anything like this before or realized she had such stylish pieces in her wardrobe. When Kuma-chan notices Airi-chan's slightly annoyed expression, thinking she might not like the outfit, she asks if she dislikes it. Airi-chan quickly corrects her, happily assuring that she loves her new outfit. At school, Ryo, who had been dozing off during class, suddenly wakes up and loudly asks about their plans for Golden Week. Both her friends are startled by her sudden shout, but she teasingly wishes them a good morning with a mischievous smile. Without hesitation, she asks about their holiday plans. Akane asks whether Ryo has any free time, since she has club activities. Ryo nods, explaining that she has a training camp starting tomorrow, and excitedly shares that she's looking forward to going somewhere. Kuma, who also has the day off tomorrow, agrees, and the three decide to visit several places together. Ryo suggests going to the aquarium, an amusement park, and the mall. Hearing this, Akane asks Kuma about the places she usually visits on her days off. After thinking for a moment, Kuma shares that she mostly just works at the cafe and rarely takes breaks. She adds that, following Chigusa-san's suggestion, she sometimes takes breaks, watches movies, or makes accessories on her days off. Realizing that Kuma is a bit introverted, the friends think it would be better to go somewhere less crowded. Since the aquarium is usually busy, they consider going to the cafe instead. Both girls are shocked when Kuma hesitantly suggests going outside somewhere, unsure if she really wants to. Seeing her polite smile as she says she's okay to go anywhere as long as she's with them, both friends become emotional and hug her tightly. Later, they are sitting at the karaoke, and Kuma is happily captivated, impressed by her friends passionately singing. After listening, she genuinely admires their voices. Once the singing ends, Ryo asks Kuma to sing, saying she wants to hear her voice. Kuma hesitates, feeling shy and confused, but after holding the microphone, she finally begins singing. Both girls listen attentively and appreciatively. After finishing, Kuma almost wipes her forehead, her voice having strained slightly from singing. Both friends apologize for pressuring her, and she calmly brushes it off with a smile. Suddenly, all the girls become attentive as they overhear singing from another room. Ryo leans her ear against the wall, excitedly informing everyone about the beautiful, stunning singing drifting from the next room. Sitting on the sofa, the trio presses their ears to the wall. Kuma becomes mesmerized, feeling as if the lullaby could lull her to sleep. The other girls are equally astonished, listening to the stunningly professional voice. Although they themselves are good singers, the incredible sound leaves them amazed and a little embarrassed. As Kuma stands up to go to the washroom, she sees Higurashi emerging from the next door. She, along with the other girl who had been peeking, is shocked to realize that manager Higurashi was the one singing in the next room. Seeing Kuma-chan standing in front of him, Higurashi becomes flustered. He silently wishes he hadn't chosen such old-fashioned songs and feels annoyed, thinking he should have picked something more trendy. Embarrassed, he lies, telling himself that he's here with friends who invited him. As she turns back to her room, Kuma-chan informs her friends that the manager is actually here with his friends, while Higurashi feels guilty for having told a lie. When he comes out of his room again, the girls waiting outside ask whether he's alone. Caught red-handed, he nods embarrassedly. Kuma-chan gently scolds him, saying it's perfectly normal to come to karaoke alone these days. Higurashi is further shocked when Kuma-chan, holding his hand, encourages him to join them. Though embarrassed, he initially declines, preferring to enjoy himself quietly. But the trio of girls emotionally express how much they want to hear him sing. They add that hearing his ballad earlier impressed them greatly. Realizing they overheard him, Higurashi becomes even more flustered. Kuma-chan happily shares that she enjoyed the songs he picked and tells him she would like to hear any song he sings. She insists he sing more, leaving him with no choice. Finally, Higurashi agrees to sing, and the girls, thrilled, eagerly encourage him to perform more songs afterward, filling the room with excitement and laughter. On his day off from the cafe, Higurashi lies on his bed, bored and with nothing to do. Suddenly, he remembers his previous day at karaoke with Kuma-chan, thinking it was safe to go alone. Just then, his phone buzzes. Seeing a picture message from Kuma-chan, he becomes confused, unsure why she would send him anything. He wonders if she sent it to the wrong person. Clicking on the picture, he sees all four of them happily posing at karaoke, and his mood brightens. He recalls when Kuma-chan, excited, told him she took so many pictures and promised to send them to him. He recalls taking a photo himself and tries to send it to her, but panics when he realizes he might be sending the wrong one. Realizing his mistake, he nervously tries to delete the message but feels guilty knowing she's already seen it. She even admires the cuteness and wonders aloud if it's from Ikai. Flustered and embarrassed, Higurashi scolds himself. Despite being an adult, he realizes he cannot sleep without a dakimakura. In a panic, he texts her to ignore the message, while Kuma-chan looks at the picture with a polite, cute smile. A few days later, after school, Kuma-chan spots Airi-chan on her way to the cafe. Excited, she asks if Kuma is going there too. She nods, and Airi-chan, noticing how much she's grown, curiously comments on her summer outfit, surprised to see her wearing it so early in the season. As they walk toward the cafe, she explains that summer heat gives her body heat rashes, which is why she chose the outfit. Airi, impressed, notices her tight, short-sized shirt and asks about it. Kuma calmly claims that the shirt fit perfectly last year, but now it feels a little tight because she's grown. When they arrive at the cafe, Kuma requests a cup of coffee from Higurashi before work. Stretching carelessly, she asks him about her drink choice. Meanwhile, Airi notices Kuma-chan's tight shirt almost straining to button and becomes so worried, but as Higurashi asks her to bring some coffee beans from the jar, which he's run out of, Airi realizes, somewhat relieved, that he didn't notice Kuma-chan's embarrassing moment. Later, as Higurashi calmly asks Airi about her drink preference, she suggests having a latte. When he serves her the black latte, it surprises her. As he pours the drink, his nervous, flustered expression makes it clear he saw Kuma-chan's embarrassing moment earlier, and it distracted him all day at work. The next day, Kuma sits across from Higurashi-san in the cafe after closing hours. He's helping her prepare for a test. Once she finishes all the questions, she excitedly shares that she got every problem right. Higurashi, impressed by her intelligence, suggests that she could get such good marks even without practicing. Kuma-chan, smiling cutely, admits that she knew the syllabus well, but still wants to practice, which makes him even more impressed. Curiously, she asks about his school life. He calmly explains that he was an average student and a member of the table tennis club, but he never competed in tournaments. Seeing her confused expression, he asks if she means he didn't take part in any club activities. She happily clarifies that it's not because she didn't want to, but because otherwise she wouldn't have been able to work at this cafe. He's surprised at how interested she is in the cafe. Then, holding a warm cup of coffee in her hands, she happily tells him that she enjoys spending time at the cafe and even hopes to work there after graduation. Higurashi feels genuinely happy hearing how much she values the place. Curiously, he asks her the real reason for her obsession with the cafe. Leaning forward, she places her knees on the table, looks him directly in the eyes, and playfully asks him to guess. Nervously, he guesses that she likes the cafe's coffee. She smiles warmly at his correct answer, and he can't help but clap, delighted by her reaction. It's a rainy day, and Higurashi-san stands in front of his cafe, annoyed at himself for not bringing an umbrella. He had almost traveled by car, yet still didn't have even a small folded umbrella with him. From the other cafe, Kuma-chan spots him and, curious, asks why he isn't using his car today. Gloomily, he explains that his sister took the car keys without informing him, so now he has to go home by train. Kuma-chan, curious as always, asks if his sister really holds all the power in the household. Higurashi nods gloomily, admitting that both he and his father are at the lowest rank in the house. She shows sympathy, but he brushes it off and prepares to leave. Seeing him about to walk off in the rain, she offers to share her umbrella with him. He hesitates, trying to assure her that he's fine, and considers running quickly to buy an umbrella from the mall. But her worried expression stops him. She explains that if she gets sick, no one would be there to make coffee for her. Hearing her emotional concern, he reluctantly agrees. Now, both walk together under the umbrella, with Kuma-chan holding it as the rain pours down heavily. Higurashi feels embarrassed. He knows that as a man he should carry it for her, but his short height makes it look like a child holding an umbrella for their parent. Unaware of his feelings, Kuma-chan happily walks alongside him, enjoying the shared moment despite the rain. She takes her first bite of the shaved ice and becomes completely mesmerized by its deliciousness. Airi, tasting it as well, makes an adorably cute face when Kuma-chan shares how she had heard about this dessert on TV the previous day and is now thrilled to be trying it here with Airi. Taking another spoonful, Kuma-chan happily and politely offers some to Airi. She suddenly becomes embarrassed and nervous, shaking her head. Confused, she asks if Airi doesn't like the green flavor. Airi hesitantly shakes her head in return, explaining that she has no problem with the taste, but eating it this way feels like a first kiss to her. Hearing this, Kuma-chan gloomily apologizes, calling herself dumb for not knowing such things. Airi, trying to ease her nerves, reassures her that it's okay and that sharing the ice like this is perfectly fine. Then, Airi curiously asks if Kuma-chan always acts this cute in front of everyone, even in front of the cafe manager. Kuma-chan calmly nods, admitting she just acts without thinking. Airi smiles, knowing this about her already. Finally, Kuma-chan politely suggests that Airi try the ice cream flavor herself. Airi agrees, and with a cute, careful gesture, opens her mouth for the first spoonful. She is instantly mesmerized by the sweet and delightful taste. Receiving a message from her friends about going to the ocean for summer break makes Kuma-chan worry deeply. She checks her weight nervously, and in her mind, it feels like a bomb has gone off, seeing how much weight she has gained. Later, at the cafe after closing hours, Higurashi notices her hard work and appreciates it. He asks about her cup of coffee and cheerfully invites her to taste a new dessert he just made. Ice cream added to test a new menu item. However, seeing Kuma-chan's strange and hesitant expressions makes him confused. Even when she initially refuses to taste it, he worries that it might not look appetizing. She gloomily insists that it does look good, and admits she wants to taste it herself, but he becomes embarrassed when she asks if he already tasted properly. On his nods, she suggests him try it again himself. Looking at the dessert, he becomes more confused, realizing there's no one else to taste it. He gloomily compliments her, saying she made the cake so well for him earlier that it encouraged him to try making it too, but now it feels like a waste. As he considers throwing it away, she immediately decides to taste it herself. Kuma-chan is shocked watching her eat the entire thing. During the cafe's slow hours, Kuma-chan is deeply focused on her phone. Higurashi, stretching his body with relief that there's no rush today, notices her so intently scrolling and curiously asks what she's looking at. She shyly shows him her phone, revealing numerous swimsuit pictures she's been browsing, and asks for his opinion, saying all the trendy swimsuits are cute. Seeing some of the more revealing designs, Higurashi instantly becomes embarrassed and confused, wondering how any girl could feel comfortable wearing them. When he asks to see more options, she eagerly shows him several more outfits, each even cuter and more expressive than the last. Overwhelmed, he quickly turns away and closes his eyes. She laughs and encourages him to agree with his choice, but he becomes even more flustered when she teasingly insists he pick one for her, explaining that she likes all of them and that any choice he makes would be fine. Although hesitant, Higurashi has no other option. Nervously, he selects one swimsuit. She joyfully teases him, asking if he really likes the one he chose, and he nervously clarifies that he simply picked it because it's different from the others and also cute. Higurashi is serving a customer their espresso and recalls when Kuma-chan informed him about her going to the beach with her friends. He feels a wave of gloom, remembering that he hasn't visited the beach in nearly 10 years. His mind drifts back to high school, recalling the few times he went with her sister, which had been quite stressful for him. Back then, the girls had teased him, admiring his cute younger brother appearance, even though he was actually older. Suddenly, reality snaps back when part-time worker Sasaki-san enters the cafe. Noticing his confused expression, she immediately points to the TV, and Higurashi is shocked to see Kuma-chan featured on a live broadcast from the beach. The anchor continuously praises her adorable and impressive swimsuit, making him freeze. Seeing Kuma-chan wearing the swimsuit he had chosen for her, Higurashi is stunned. He never expected she would actually wear it. Sasaki-san, noticing his reaction, curiously asks if he picked the swimsuit for her. Nervously, he clarifies that he only helped her choose because she seemed a little indecisive. Meanwhile, on the TV, the anchor asks Kuma-chan who selected the swimsuit. She blushes slightly, smiling as she hides her answer, saying it's a secret. Higurashi feels a mix of relief and nervousness, realizing that admitting he, her part-time manager, had chosen it would have been awkward. Instead, his quiet help ended up being exactly the right thing. While Ryo and Kuma-chan are playing together in the sand, two bullying boys notice them. Noticing Kuma-chan's appearance, one boy's friend teases him for always picking characters he finds attractive. Both boys quickly move closer to confront them. Flexing their arms and posing boldly, they ask them if playing alone wouldn't be boring and suggest that they hug with them. Seeing this, Ryo immediately realizes the boys are just trying to flirt with them because of Kuma-chan's looks. She steps forward confidently, refusing to go along, wanting them to enjoy themselves on their own. The boys stubbornly insist, arguing that the beach is for enjoying time with both girls and boys. Ryo becomes annoyed, and her confusion grows when one of the boys grabs her hand and offers her shaved ice. Panicked, she wishes Akane were back soon. She knows she can't handle this alone. At that moment, Kuma-chan suddenly stands up and wraps her arms around Ryo in a protective, almost romantic gesture, telling the harassing boys that she can't leave Ryo. Realizing the girls are serious, the boys quickly apologize and run off. The three girls then return to their game together. Ryo, who had been confused at first, starts laughing at Kuma-chan's dramatic act and jokes that it's lucky she isn't a guy. Kuma-chan, still unaware of the deeper meaning behind her own behavior, remains innocent about what it might have implied. During summer break, Airi feels very happy being at Kuma-chan's home to work on her homework. She becomes impressed watching Kuma-chan effortlessly draw a picture and happily show the victory pose. She excitedly shares that she managed to finish her summer assignments in a week, even though she had only started 3 days ago, something that surprises Airi greatly. Lying on the study table, she gloomily adds that despite all her efforts, she might still not be able to finish all the tasks by the end of the break. Seeing her so discouraged, Kuma-chan offers to help her with anything she needs, which makes Airi nervous but excited. She timidly asks her for help with English. Kuma-chan turns toward the bookshelf to grab her previous class's English notebook. Seeing her from behind, Airi becomes flustered and instinctively hides her eyes. She casually reminds her about her pants being slightly revealing, but seeing her calm response surprises her. Worried about how boys might react to such a pose, Kuma casually listens as Airi-chan, like a good friend, carefully advises her to be mindful around male friends. Airi becomes even more speechless and helpless, but Kuma-chan smiles reassuringly, suggesting she need not worry because she has no male friends. A few days later, while at work, Higurashi notices Kuma-chan showing unusual expressions, which makes him worried that he might have done something wrong. Anxiously, he asks her the reason, but she quickly turns away, refusing to share anything. This makes him even more panicked, as he begins overthinking and trying hard to recall if he did something to upset her. He even remembers telling her about being stopped at a checkpoint, where authorities thought he was too young to drive. Reflecting on her sympathetic reaction at that time, he reassures himself that he had acted maturely and realizes that the checkpoint incident cannot be the cause of her strange behavior. Suddenly, a customer calls Kuma-chan to take an order. Higurashi glances and sees Sasaki-san also at work, but notices that this customer is only calling Kuma-chan. His confusion grows when he sees her angry and annoyed expression, a demeanor she has never shown before, as she is usually polite with customers. Misunderstanding the situation, he quickly dashes over. Before she reaches the customer, Higurashi arrives and asks the customer to place the order with him instead, explaining that he is the manager, and Kuma-chan is not feeling well. Kuma-chan arrives as well, attempting to take the order, but the customer, assuring that Higurashi is the manager, apologizes for disturbing her work. As he stands there, he feels a twinge of inferiority seeing the boy towering above her. Her embarrassment grows when the boy teasingly pats her head and smiles, explaining that he is her cousin, and was only joking with her in a friendly way. The boy who had patted Kuma's head calmly introduces himself as Kashima Gaku, a university student studying nearby. While he continues speaking casually, Higurashi notices Kashima's tall stature, broad chest, and muscular, manly build. Instantly, he feels a strong sense of inferiority. Kuma-chan, annoyed by Kashima lingering, quietly suggests he should go back. Curious, he asks her why, and then he shyly bows toward Higurashi, admiring his cuteness. Confused, Higurashi asks if he is really complimenting him, but Kashima smiles and reassures him, saying that because of his cuteness, he wants to pet him. At the same time, Kuma-chan admits that she also wishes Higurashi were that cute in her family. Seeing both of them admire his cuteness, assures him that they really are cousins. Higurashi, curious, quietly asks whether they are really that close because Kashima visits Kuma-chan at the cafe. Flustered and blushing, Kashima asks again if they really looks that close. Kuma-chan, annoyed, corrects him, insisting they are not so close. Kashima, however, teasingly smiles and maintains that they are, while Higurashi can only smile helplessly, unsure how to react. Back at home, Higurashi feels a surge of jealousy. He searches on Google whether cousins can marry and discovers that it is legally possible. This thought panics and worries him so much that he cannot manage to sleep that night. A few days later, Kashima visits Kuma-chan, happily and excitedly inviting her to the summer festival while showing her a pamphlet. Kuma-chan, however, shyly denies, saying she already has someone else to go out with. She calmly shares that last year she went with her friends Ryo and Akane and that they already have plans to hang out together this year as well. Realizing he doesn't want to disturb her friend's circle, Kuma-chan gloomily suggests her asking the manager to go out with her. Blushing, she shyly asks why he would suggest that. He reminds her that they already spent time together at the cafe, but she calmly corrects him, saying that was only to explore the cafe for coffee. He simply nods, acknowledging her words. Kuma-chan becomes shocked when he gloomily puts his face on his knees, quietly sharing his wish to meet the manager, despite having a desperate desire to go to the festival with her himself. Finding no clear answer from her, he asks, a bit annoyed, why they are cousins if they cannot go out together. Calmly and innocently, she explains that they are cousins because her mother and his father are siblings. At the summer festival, all the girls wearing yukata look very cute. Kuma-chan admires Airi's hairstyle, thinking it's so pretty. Ryo is also excited, noting how refreshing and summery everyone's outfits look. Airi gloomily wonders whether it's okay for her to join their friend circle, but Akane, with a polite smile, nods reassuringly. Since she is close to Kuma, this also makes Airi feel included as part of their group. They ask about her first meeting with Kuma-chan, and when Airi shares that she met her at the cafe, the girls are surprised and ask whether she visits the cafe often. Airi admits that she goes once in a while. Blushing, she thinks about her main reason for visiting being to see Kuma-chan's cute mannerisms. At that moment, Kuma-chan also mentions that manager Higurashi is running a crepe stand nearby, which makes Airi even more excited. She begins thinking seriously that if she had more time, she could have done more to improve her appearance, perfecting her nails and making her look even cuter. Suddenly, Airi is shocked when a man bumps into her from behind. She becomes scared as she realizes she's surrounded by a crowd. Meanwhile, she looks back to search for other, but then becomes frightened when a suspicious man grabs Airi's shoulder, asking her to talk for a minute about something. A tall stranger approaches Airi and asks her for help, but she becomes immediately terrified. She spins around and dashes away, panicked, unaware that it's Kashima, who was just trying to ask something harmless. Exhausted from the fright of seeing such a tall, imposing, and seemingly dangerous man, Airi spots Kuma-chan and exhales in relief, asking her for help and explaining that a tall, intimidating man just called her over for no reason. Kuma-chan, still a little confused, sees Kashima approaching. Airi, terrified and sweating, hides behind Kuma-chan. Angrily, Kuma-chan shouts at him not to follow them. Kashima, seeing Kuma-chan in her yukata, becomes impressed and slightly emotional. He immediately turns away, assuring them that he will not disturb them again. As he leaves, Ryo, confused by the situation, asks what happened. Kuma-chan calmly explains that he is her cousin and only intended to talk to her, not intrude. Airi now feels guilty for having reacted so harshly. Seeing this, Ryo politely approaches Kashima and invites him to join them, which makes Airi panic even more at the thought of hanging out with a stranger, even though he's technically family. As the crowd begins to thin, Higurashi, wiping sweat from his forehead, asks the other helper, Sasaki-san, to take care of the stall. She humbly nods and suggests he take a short break. Walking forward, he notices Airi-chan sitting alone on a bench, almost in tears. He approaches her, offering a crepe, and hesitantly asks why she's sitting by herself. Feeling a little guilty for her fright, Airi shyly explains that she was scared of the very tall man, Kashima, Kuma-chan's cousin. Higurashi, confused, listens as she continues while eating the crepe. She shares how she had been visiting the festival with Kuma-chan and her friends when the stranger suddenly called out to her. Higurashi realizes just how tall Kashima really is. Despite understanding the situation, he still feels guilty that Airi, due to his strong and intense presence, was so frightened. She quietly reassures him that, as Kuma-chan's cousin, Kashima is kind and means no harm, though his size can be intimidating. Recalling the moment when Kashima admired his cute side at the cafe, Higurashi suggests gently that Airi go back, as Kuma-chan would be worried for her. However, Airi politely pinches his shirt and suggests they talk a bit longer, saying it feels relaxing to be with him. Higurashi immediately stands up, flustered. She tries to clarify her meaning, but he grows gloomy, almost on the verge of tears, and admits how touched he feels that everyone, including Kuma-chan, admires him. Airi smiles softly and calmly explains that it's because he is truly admirable, reassuring him and easing his nervous heart. Kuma-chan scans the crowd worriedly for Airi, and when she spots her, she waves. Airi, looking gloomy, immediately apologizes for going out without informing anyone. While the others are talking, Airi excitedly asks Higurashi if he's on a break. He nods and says he'll be heading back soon. At this, she suddenly gets angry and stops him, reminding him that it's almost 8 o'clock, the perfect time for the fireworks. A few steps away, Ryo, happily chatting, tells everyone how beautifully the fireworks can be seen from the shrine. Higurashi, excited at the idea of watching the fireworks with Kuma-chan, hesitates, thinking she would never agree to go with him alone. To solve this, he happily invites everyone to watch the fireworks together. Airi turns around, confused, noticing that Kuma-chan and Higurashi are missing, while Kashima also looks around, puzzled. Unbeknownst to them, Kuma-chan has been overhearing their conversation. She is holding the blushing and nervous Higurashi-san behind a wall. Higurashi, embarrassed and flushed, stands there, utterly confused and unsure how to handle the situation. Seeing Higurashi's confused expression as she feels kidnapped, Kuma-chan worriedly asks if he's all right. He nods hesitantly. Turning to him with a polite smile, she shyly shares that she wants to watch the fireworks alone with him, which makes him flustered and nervous. Trying to control his emotions and not overthink the situation, Higurashi calmly suggests they go to a perfect spot to see the fireworks properly. He also grabs a bottle of juice for her. As they walk together toward the viewing spot, he feels a bit of an inferiority complex. Thinking that he is 10 years older than her, and yet she is so cheerful and lively, he wonders if he's good enough. His thoughts stop, however, when they finally arrive at the spot and the fireworks start. Seeing the display, Kuma-chan becomes pleased and thrilled. Holding the juice bottle, Higurashi considers ending the moment and calls her, but the loud fireworks drown out his voice. Suddenly, they hear voices behind them. Turning around, they're surprised to see their other friends arriving, showing their happiness at reaching the right spot. Seeing this, Ryo feels a little embarrassed for unintentionally disturbing their moment, but Kuma-chan politely smiles at her. Together, all of them enjoy the fireworks, sharing the joy and excitement before heading home. The following day, after their shift, Higurashi and Kuma-chan end up taking the same train home. Standing in front of her, he feels extremely flustered, almost like he's in a video being watched. Seeing his nervous expression and sweaty face, Kuma-chan asks if he's okay. He nods, but deep down, he feels embarrassed and tense. The train is crowded today because of the baseball game at the nearby stadium, and many people are heading there. Suddenly, the crowd at the next stop pushes him closer, almost bumping into her. With a blushed, sweaty, and nervous face, he quickly stops himself from panicking. Kuma innocently offers him to lean on her, and this innocence makes him even more flustered. He nervously tries to manage himself, but when she cheerfully insists, pointing out that even more people will get on at the next station, he has no choice. Flustered, he ends up leaning on her, with a bag held carefully between them. Even though the bag provides a small barrier, he still feels extremely nervous, his face flushed and sweaty, while trying to calm himself as the train continues to fill with more passengers.
Here I